Hey, yeah, what's up? This disciple Marshall Occurrence, reign back up in this anti-Illuminati all day, anti-America all day, yeah. So this message basically is going to be about the hate that organizations here in America, I'm going to be going through the organizations, though, the organizations that bring hate on specific ethnicities, organizations, groups, gangs, etc., that bring hate on ethnicities of people here in America. Now, the first one I'm gonna have to name is in a lot of the West Coast ain't gonna agree with me on this, and you might. It's not maybe that you don't agree with me, but you may feel touchy about this. But the gangs bring on hate to an ethnicity, our ethnicity. Our ethnicity, the African ethnicity, has received hate because of the gangs. And no one cares when their mother or their father or their daughter ends up in the morgue, what gang did it. Especially when they're not black. If they're not black and they're totally outside of the culture, they're totally out of touch with gangs and all of that and how it moves and how it's an ongoing struggle, if they have no concept to all of that, right? They're going to be only looking really more like looking at the ethnicity. It's going to bring hate on our ethnicity. It's going to bring hate on the ethnicity of African American. This has to be said, and what prompted this for me particularly was not gangs. It was more particularly the secret societies, the Freemasons, the Illuminati, and all their ground troops that they're using. And even secret pro-black organizations that don't think I'm aware of them. You too. Yeah, you too. You don't think I'm aware of you, but I'm aware of you. Because I'm spiritual for real. You ever watch Star Wars where they say I can sense the struggle, I can sense a confusion in the force? We're spiritual for real. I can sense you without seeing you. So for all those organizations and the people that you use, the people that are your front men, if you will, your ground troops, your foot soldiers that interact with people outside of that group and bring about negative results. Guess what happens? You may say, oh, well, they're making the Crips look bad. They're making the Bloods look bad these days. It wasn't like that. At least we had a legitimate enemy that was the situation. Not these reckless things going on. But you know what, though? No one's looking at the gang at all, really. If they're not a part of the culture, if they're not World Star fans, all these World Star fans, if they're not World Star fans, then they're basically looking at it like, well, some black guy killed Aunt Sue. You think they care what gang he was in? What set of Crip he was? You get down, not only do you differentiate who he was to the point where he was a Crip, you go into the set. Well, he was actually 2-5 Crips over there. He wasn't 84 Crips. You think they care if there was 2-5 or 84 Crips? You get my point. My point is nobody's trying to differentiate what group somebody's in when they have negative things happen to them from that group. The most powerful thing, if you don't understand that by now, by living in America, then you're completely oblivious to certain things about race. Race is more powerful than any organization, any group of people, group, or any type of established, federation, if you will. Nothing is more powerful than that. Well, let's look at America in general. Anybody care that the government is government this, government that, police this, that, all throughout the history of this country? Did you care more about the system or more about that it was white people? You cared more about the fact that it was white people that was doing this, doing that through a system, through the government. But your emphasis was it was a white person doing all of this stuff. It was white people doing all this stuff. Your emphasis wasn't, well, the legislation, the judicial part of this situation. Did you care about legislations and judicial parts? Everybody's emphasis was white people doing this, and this is a government, for crying out loud. It doesn't get any more big of an organization than that, right? And you still see, with that being the case, the emphasis wasn't the bigness of the organization. The emphasis was white people doing this to black people. So secret society, take notes. See, your influence, even you old people, because you want to be young in the secret societies, you probably still think you 20 and you 50, 60 years old. Okay? You know the type. Straight losers, pot bellies, sitting around trying to hang around 20-somethings. Let me help you understand something. You have to understand, no one cares about differentiation more than race. Okay, so race means more. No one cares about, well, this is our group. See, you have to understand this. Everyone is not plugged into the culture. I know it's exciting to you, right? It's like going to Chuck E. Cheese to you, right? Being part of the culture. It's like Chuck E. Cheese. Everybody's not going to Chuck E. Cheese, bruh. Listen, everybody's not connected to the culture. I know it's hard for you to believe that with how much you see going on because you're plugged in. Everybody's not plugged in, especially religious people, especially spiritual people. That's the first group that's not plugged in. They're not plugged into your culture. They're not trying to look at it for groups and groups. They're going to look at it as a whole bunch of white people playing a whole bunch of games with a black person. That's how they're looking at it. And especially if, because this is how we see it. And most criminals will agree with me. If you don't have evidence of a crime, then you don't need to be here. That's how thugs think. That's how, and that's how just people, spiritual people think too. If you don't have a crime, you have to go. If you don't have evidence of that crime, you have to go. We don't care what you've heard. We don't care. We don't care who you heard it from. You could have heard it from the ancestors of that person. Well, the ancestor said he did this. If you don't have evidence and you don't have proof, you have to kick rocks. You and your group. That's what we're talking about. So you'll say, well, it's because these people said he did this. It ain't got nothing to do with the color, but do you got evidence? Do you have audio and videos? You live in a world now where people go on stage and lie. Do you understand that? So testimony is not what it used to be in the courts of law. It's not looked at as it once was. Where have you been? You ain't watched the Johnny Depp and the Amber Heard court sessions where you couldn't tell who was lying? It's a whole new day. Your testimonies mean nothing. Even if it's coming from the person that said did it, that said it happened to them. Testimonies are not what they used to be because people fabricate and change definitions and tell half truth and whole lies, and they have other motives. And it ain't even about what even ever happened to them. They got some other motive of destroying a person. All of that matters because then you find the lies in the process. Then you find the fabrication in the process. Then you find the half truth and the whole lies in the process. So for people that are, the 50-year-old pot-belly guy from Seattle that wants to hang around the 20-somethings all the time, let me tell you something about testimonies. For your little group that is motivated by testimonies. Testimonies absolutely means nothing halfway in 2022 going into 2023. Johnny Depp and Amber Heard proved that. That was a cultural thing. You realize that, right? You're so in tune with the culture. You're in Chuck E. Cheese all the time. That's how we're gonna be talking about the culture. The culture is Chuck E. Cheese, guys. So you hang out at Chuck E. Cheese all the time, right? Well, where were you when when they had the event of Johnny Depp and Amber Heard? Where was you at in Chuck E. Cheese? Playing Double Dragon? You was playing Double Dragon? Well, while you was playing Double Dragon, Johnny Depp and Amber Heard was in court stages. You couldn't even tell who was telling the truth. They had supposedly valid testimonies from both of them. Went through elaborate stories, both of them. Look how descriptive each story was, and somebody was lying. That's what you missed while you was playing Double Dragon, buddy. Okay. You cannot go by testimonies in 2022 anymore alone, running around motivated by testimonies. Because you need to say this because they're going to say, well, we're not motivated by race. We're motivated by some stuff that we heard. Well, if you just going by testimonies, then you're in trouble. Listen, buddy, you ain't in the 5th grade. You're not in the 5th grade, are you? So you can't just go by hearsay and what people told you, bro. You have to, and it doesn't matter who it's coming from. It could be ancestors. It could be brothers and sisters. It does not matter who it's coming from. If you have only testimonies, you are in trouble. Okay? And if you have not seen that from Johnny Depp and Amber Heard, how somebody can sit up in the front of the whole country, internationally, in front of the whole international community and lie like that, then bro, I can't even take you seriously. Because you know what people in your American culture do? Well, why would people lie like that? Well, why would they make that up if it wasn't true? You actually have made this like a Bible in your community. Well, let's go to the Bible of if they wouldn't say that if it wasn't true. They wouldn't say that if it wasn't true. It's just too shocking. Well, I'm not really a liar. I have lied before. I ain't gonna lie. But would I make up a weak lie or a strong lie? Okay? I'm gonna make up am I gonna make a shocking lie or a little lie, that kind of people believe a little bit? Or am I gonna make something shocking and destructive if I'm making up a lie, if I'm lying on someone? People are naive. You got to realize it. You're naive. You've been played. You've been bamboozled. It's called character assassination. It's called defamation. That's the technical terms for it. If it's a technical term for it, then that means it's going on. Character assassination is at an all-time high. defamation is at an all-time high. You don't know that? Huh? That's what Johnny Depp was suing her for defamation. But yet here you are talking about what you heard, as if you're Amber Heard, or you've been listening to Amber Heard. So you're dealing with a real master, man. That's what that we clear that up. So for people that may be going through something and they say, well, this secret society is playing games with me, and I feel the same way you feel. It's a certain ethnicity that's playing games, and I look at that more than I look at a secret society. And then the secret society will say in response to that person, well, it's not about your race. We heard this and that. But that's for you. That's for you, secret societies, all your little chapters. If you don't have evidence, which includes audio, physical proof, videos, then you're in trouble in 2022. You're in trouble, bro. Ain't nobody going by what somebody said. Where you come from? 1972? Huh? You still got thick sideburns and a fro? I'm talking about the 70s fro. You still got that going on, bro? Man, come on, bro. You can't be serious. You still wearing bell bottoms? Huh? Listen. You still wearing tie-dye shirts and throwing up peace signs? Bruh, we live in a whole different era. That includes everything, even to the courts, even to people who say they are victims. Every aspect of this community has been changed. You don't know that? Well, that didn't stay the same, where you could just say, well, you know, I went through this. And everybody's like, yeah, let's go find the person that made them go through it. Man, what planet you live on, man? Because see, you got people who live by the Bible of, well, why would they say that if it wasn't true? You want me to give you a million reasons? Money, fame, trying to destroy somebody for another reason. That's enough right there. Just the money part. just yeah, that part right there. So see, I have to say all of that and lay that groundwork before I can even get into this, because there's people that's sitting back with their hands crossed saying, well, we heard this. It ain't got nothing to do with he black. Okay, well, you heard, but what can you prove? I'm going to tell you just like, and I'm not a deceptive person, but I'm going to tell you just like Denzel Washington said on Training Day. It's not what you know, it's what you can prove. It's not what you heard, it's what you can prove. And if you can't prove something, you out here playing around, like you got something really going on and you really don't, then you're really in trouble in all actuality, which explains why your country looks the way it does. You're actually in trouble, bro. You're beat. Because in actuality, you have no evidence and audio and physical evidence of anything. So you're just going by what you've heard. Well, hey, man, that's not going to hold up. That's not going to hold up in the courts of law, bro. Testimonies do not hold up in the courts of law in 2022. Okay, I have to say that because they think they got something going on. Okay, now, like I said, race is more important. Race is more important and more powerful than Freemasons, Illuminati, gangs, pro-black groups, pro-white groups. We don't care if you're pro-black. If you're a pro-black organization, and people say, well, they don't represent how we feel as black people. We wouldn't have went about it that way. You know, they're vicious about protecting black people, and that's how they decided to torture that person. Well, hey, guess what? We're looking at it like it's black people. You looking at it like it's an organization. We looking at it like they're wrong, and they've come out to be guilty, and they brought shame on your people. That's how we looking at it. See, what you have to understand is the only people who really differentiate are not, you can't say, well, that's the wise people all the time. That's the cultured people. That's the cultured people and people who decide to look at it as far as culture. But when it uniquely comes to a person of African American descent, no one cares about those things. Do you care about pro-black? When somebody that is black should know better is oppressing someone else that's African because they think he'll sell out. Well, listen. I'm going to help all the pro-black groups about that. I'm going to help you with that. I'm going to do you a good service tonight on this Friday afternoon. On this Friday night, I'm going to do you a good service. We sold each other out from the very beginning when the African chiefs sold us into slavery to get us here in the first place. Now, whether you accept that and put that to the top of your doctrine and to the top of the things you teach, that's the reality and the history of the situation. Right? You ain't going to put emphasis on that because that does not serve your narrative. That's a 7. That does not serve your narrative. So you ain't going to tell black people the truth that African chiefs sold us into slavery, sold our ancestors into slavery. And that's how we here in the first place. Because then it opens a whole nother book. It forces you to realize that the white man didn't do it all by himself. Now, what you mad at? The truth? Or are you mad at me or the truth? Which one? Which one you mad at? Because see, we get to the crust of the matter. The real problem ain't race. The real problem is the human race. We sold each other out. There is no perfect race. You paint yourselves as the perfect race, and you sold each other out from the very beginning. What happened? See, that destroys your whole narrative. It destroys your whole narrative that you're just victims, and you would have been better. You would have been good if white people had left you alone. Well, what about the part where the African chiefs sold you into slavery? That's very key information, don't you think? Don't you think that's very key information with telling black history and black oppression and black slavery and all of that? Don't you think it's very key information to tell people that the African chiefs helped the white man get us here? Don't you think that's very important information? It tells you everything. It tells you how it happened. But yet we don't hear anybody emphasize that, do we? Do we hear anybody emphasize that part? Why you talking about sellouts? We literally was sold out into slavery by African chiefs. Yeah, you don't see that in the movies, do you? You don't see that in African movies, do you? You don't see that in the Black Panthers. You don't see that emphasized you don't see that insinuated in these Black Panthers movies and all these movies about black tribe and all of that. You don't see that emphasized or insinuated, do you? You don't, do you? Because everyone's trying to, as far as pro-black goes, they're trying to keep to a certain narrative as if the white man did it all to us. In all actuality, in reality, everybody talking about keeping it 100. That's how it happened. The African chiefs sold us into slavery. People sold our ancestors into slavery. People that he seen grow up among him, he sent them off to slavery with a strange complexion man and to going to a strange land, going anywhere. Threw them on boats. Didn't know where they were going. Don't you think that make it pretty bad for him more than the white man? After all, the African chiefs watch these people grow up and eat and feast and have birthdays and everything and get married and everything. If anything, he should have been the most protective. He should have been willing to die for him. He wasn't. He sold us off into slavery. That's what he did. That's the whole reason you here. And you want to talk about a sellout. You want to talk about finding one. Well, I don't see how you're going to even really do that, bro. I don't see how you're going to even go about with that kind of motive. Because it's the whole foundation of why we're here in the first place. And the white man can't tell you. How he going to tell you? You ain't going to listen to him. And half of these white people don't know. Hey, I didn't know that. The white man even saying it. Well, I didn't really know that. I just assumed. I just assumed we just strong-armed the situation and went over there and went to war. Why didn't the war break out then? Why didn't we hear about a war? Ask yourself that. I'm talking about everybody. Ask yourself why there was no mentioning of wars with the transatlantic slave trade. Ask yourself with the transatlantic slave trade, why wasn't there no mentioning of wars? And then our ancestors were brought to slavery. Did you hear about any real wars? Did anybody talk about any significant wars? Nobody did they? Because the African chiefs, our ancestors, our ancestor leaders, the leaders of our ancestors sold us off. So I say all that to say this. Don't talk to me about no sellouts. Because we sold each other out from the very beginning. Okay? Got that? Good. Because you got these pro-black organizations that do not emphasize this, because it does not support their narrative. It doesn't bring the money in. It doesn't bring, let's keep it 100. It does not bring the influence. It does not bring the fame that they're looking for. It does not paint the image that they're looking for. But that's the facts. And it's time to stop playing games. And the reason why you should know these are facts and that we're not some perfect people is because look at the state of us now. We killing each other. We doing all of this stuff to each other. And you act like I don't know why this is happening. You know why it's happening? Because we're all humans. There is no perfect race. There is no perfect race of people. And now you know, because what you do is you look at that and say, well, it wasn't like that before. When we was in Africa, we was at peace and harmony. Then how come the African chiefs sold us off then? It was never true. It was never true. It was never true. And another thing is, when you go to Africa, you have wars among Africans. Nobody's thinking about race. See, as soon as some white people or outsiders see Africans go to war, where one of them got to be the sellout. One of them got to be the Uncle Tom. Well, then what about in Africa where it's African wars breaking out? Ain't got nothing to do with no Uncle Tom, do it? See, some people do have real hang-ups where that's all they think about. And I got to clear all the outsiders off of that, because they've intoxicated you with this narrative, like everyone is after them and all of this, and it's not even that. Sometimes they stepped on toes and you didn't know. They played bullies and you didn't know about it. They punched people around and then try to play it off like they ain't do nothing. That's what I'm saying. And so you don't even know. Like, for example, I had black people call my mom a nigga. Black people, a black man. What you gonna say to me on that? Call my mother a nigga, a black man. What you gotta say about that? Oh, you should just forgive. But let me do the same thing. You gonna want war, ain't you? You gonna exile me, right? I'm gonna get a different treatment, ain't I? That's what I'm saying. That's what I'm saying. And some people say, well, I feel you on that. I hold a grudge forever. Some black people call my mom a nigga. That's double insult. What they think they are. If she's one, they're one too. But I didn't do. But you see how I didn't put emphasis on that. You see how I ain't keep talking about it and crying about it. Like, woe is me, woe is me. You ain't see me doing that, did you? When they said that, and that's the worst thing you can say to somebody. For white people, think about that. Think about somebody a white person called your mom a cracker. A white person. Think about you white and a white person say, oh, your mom, your mom is a cracker. How would you feel about your own people? Think about it. You will feel a little like you want to separate, right? For Mexican people, think about if another Mexican person, a Mexican man called your mom a wetback. Think about that. For a Mexican person. Think about if a Mexican man called your mother now, not you could take that. called your mother a wetback? What if another Mexican called your mom a wetback? What would you think? What would you feel? Well, I don't really deal with my own people really like that no more. Right? And you could hold a grudge and it would be legitimate, right? Somebody call your mom a wetback and they Mexican too. That's double insult. And that's what I'm saying. And I never put emphasis on that because that shows you my motives. If I was trying to assassinate their character, if I was trying to make somebody feel a certain type of way, if I was trying to make you feel a certain type of way about their culture and them, then I would have made a whole campaign about it. They called my mom a nigga. I said it and I kept it moving. But every once in a while, I gotta revisit that so you'll understand, man. Sometimes the things that people do, they bring hate on everybody. They bring hate on everybody. And you still see me engaging in black music and engaging in black thought and supporting black thought. You still see me doing that. You still see me doing that. Now that's what makes me a strong man. Because when you start talking about mother and all of that, man, all that race stuff go out the window, bro. Nobody don't even care, cuz. Nobody don't even care. That's what I'm saying. And you don't look at it that way. You look at it like forgive. You're a biased, forgiving person. You want everybody to forgive, and you just biased, forgiving. Everybody forgive, biased person. That's all you're going to be saying to the day you die is everybody forgive and let it go. Sometimes things don't get better until people are confronted. Okay, you all right? How come your situation how come it is the way it is now then? Because no one's confronting it. Everybody is saying, let it get better. Let's get together. That's not working. It's time to separate the righteous Africans from the wicked Africans. Bottom line. Because that's what it's coming down to anyway. Righteous Africans and wicked Africans, whether you like it or not. It's coming down to wicked Americans and righteous Americans, whether you like it or not. So you got organization. It's not more powerful when it comes to the issue of race here in America, especially specifically here, more than anywhere else. This is not more important. We don't care what you belong to. We don't care what gang you in, what set you claim. I'm not one of those guys. What set you claim? What set you claim? What set you claim, fool? Don't mean nothing to me, bro. I'm 41 years old. I don't care what set you claim. What I'm going to look at is tribes. Tribes are the only ones responsible for chastising their own people. If I have a legitimate complaint against your tribe, let's say if I have a legitimate complaint against the Mexican tribe, who I'm going to go to? Who I'm going to go to? The white people? How the white people going to chastise them? Now you see what I'm saying. If I see besides the organization, I'm looking at the group of people, and that's going to handle the problem. That's going to handle the problem. I can't say, well, I might need to go to the Crips. No, I need to go above that to someone who has authority over the Crips, like a Farrakhan. In the case of black people, why would I go to the leader of the Crips? You know what I'm going to do? I'm going to go to Farrakhan, and I'm going to let him judge it, which means I went to the ethnicity instead of the organization. That's a 7. Same thing, back to the Mexicans. You think I'm going to try to find out which gang it was? Loco C's on 42nd. I don't care about Loco C's on 42nd. I'm going to the ethnicity so that can chastise the Loco C's on 42nd. So then, therefore, it's a no-brainer. I have to be specific about tribes instead of organizations. So in other words, you don't even get to the solutions until you go to the tribes. Because how is the white man going to chastise them? Huh? and they take it seriously. That's a 7. Yeah, that part where you take it seriously, because you take Louis Farrakhan seriously. Yeah, you do. Yeah, you do. He shut all of y'all up. He'll shut most of you up, enough of you up. Same thing with any other race. Whoever your leaders is, you go to the ethnicity and the leaders of the ethnicity that is able to properly chastise the people. Now you see how I even address the solutions, how you come to the solutions? Because you can't go to no organization, and it rings even more true that race, ethnicity is more powerful than organization, because ethnicity will be what handles a group or an organization in the end. It will be an ethnicity that chastises their own ethnicity that is part of that organization. Now you see what the Illuminati done got your community into? Because I'm calling people on tribes. If you listen, you should know better. What you brainwashed? Because ain't no organization can brainwash me to the point where I don't see racial problems, or I know what a black man is. I don't care what group you part of. You don't lose all sense of reality of where you at, do you? Have you lost that? Well, okay, so that's more powerful than whatever little group you're talking about. Black as a group and as a dynamic will be more powerful than the Illuminati until y'all die. Okay? Let's put it like this. If it comes down to me and you, they gonna kill you rather than kill a black man. Because listen, and if I'm right too, and I am, you gotta go. You gotta go. See what happened was, I'm gonna say it like that. What happened was, you got so caught up in the culture of the day, all on your phone, all on the internet, that you thought that stuff mattered over to the overall community. And then no one would think about just race. They would just think about, well, this is a little group, that we're a group, and this is why this is happening to this person. We're not looking at it that way. You're caught up in the culture. You're caught up in all what's going on YouTube and all of that. That's what got you caught up. To where you felt you was comfortable to play with me, and you're not. You can't. And now you know. And that's why you lose. Yeah, you got caught up in YouTube. You got caught up in the internet. You got caught up in all of that, and that's what got you caught up. Simple as that. Because at the end of the day, you have no evidence concerning me. You have no proof of anything concerning me. Got you right there, right? So all you doing is playing a game. And in that game, all people are looking at is that you're playing with a black person and that you should die for it. Now you see that? Now you see the next step? Because you'll say, well, we gonna do what we want to do. Okay. When they find out it's somebody black you're doing to, you die. You see what I'm saying? Look, nobody cares what kind of games you playing. When they find out, the right people find out that you're playing games with someone that's African, then principle is above your organization. Because I'm not going to let that happen to a black person. That's me, a good black person. Now, ignorance is ignorance. And I'm going to cover that too. Because what you have here is you have African, the wicked African, and the righteous African. We just like I was told, or something I read, is that in older African times, if part of a tribe, the part of the traveling tribe was weak, they had to be left behind. Wickedness is a weakness. If you're going to be left behind, because in order for us to even progress with these white people, you have to be cut off because you're a misrepresentation, and therefore we can't present a presentation and get really taken seriously and get real land and real money. You got to be cut off. This is the danger that is coming to. That the righteous, the wicked Africans are going to be cut off from the African tribe of America. It has to happen because it's a misrepresentation. It's a curse. If we're talking about spirituality, if it was a prophet and he's seen the state of this African tribe, he would say they have to die. They have to die. And you can say whatever, you can have all your little hip hop terms, you can call me whatever you want, but at the end of the day, a prophet would say, look at them, see what they're doing? Cut that off. And just like a gangster, cut it off. And it's over with. That's why if you notice, the real big gangsters are trying to make a change within themselves. It's the lames, it's the suckers that's really the ones caught up. You know, the real gangsters and bosses are starting to get more comfortable in their lifestyle. You know, they're like, hey, I don't think I want to go out and thugging no more. I don't feel like thugging. I feel like living life. I feel like going and living in paradise. I don't feel like really dealing with no negativity. And they don't know how to say it, but they don't want to deal with no ratchet people no more. Let's keep it 100. You getting money and you even a dope dealer and you don't want no ratchet, loud people around you. You don't even want them around you. And look, you can say that's a sellout. No, it ain't. It's somebody it's a human being that is tired of negative, low frequency. Tired of your low ratchet frequency. And they got comfortable to a lifestyle because of the money. And I'm not saying it's right, but they got comfortable to quality people who know how to talk to people because they go to this place and that place. They don't go to the ratchet places you go to. Now they starting to see, that's how people supposed to be. That's good service. That's how people. Now you're starting to see how people act, and you think that's the sellout. Nope. They have come to the point where they realize quality people versus low quality people, and you talking about everybody the same. That's what you talking about. I beg to differ. You got low quality people and high quality people, and it's a choice. It don't matter if you come from the ghetto. It don't matter where you come from. I can show you low quality people that got money. I can show you high quality people that's broke. So you can't hide behind, that person done sold out. He act like he ain't down no more. Nah, you low quality. That's what it is. You low quality and you trying to hide behind this camouflage like you're really a thuggish ghetto person and you're really a low quality person that's not educated and you refuse to educate yourself and you refuse to learn and you refuse to be a good person because you don't want to be. All you want to be is a ratchet person. And so what are we supposed to do with you? We leave you behind. That's what we do. And that's the only way it's going to work. And that's why I'm telling people now, whether you like it or not, whether you believe me or not, a civil war is coming between the righteous African and the wicked African, because how can we move forward and get money and move into a different neighborhood when we got to drag these crazy people with us that want to kill and rob a 77-year-old woman out in Atlanta? That white woman was robbed. That's the latest thing. This is my latest example. This last woman, white woman, was found by her son that came to see her for Christmas. Right? Found her dead because some guy stole her car. A black man stole her car. Now you got all the right answers, but how you think that white young man, what you think he's struggling with right now? His feelings towards black people. How much you want to put on that? You think he's just sitting there with a sheepish smile on his face, like he love all black people? Now he can do that. He can build himself up and say, you know what? I ain't gonna be like that. But could you blame him if he felt hate? Could you blame him? Because you feel hate for what the white man did. Oh, you don't? Oh, okay. You don't feel hate for what he did to your community. You don't feel hate for what he did to your ancestors. You don't feel hate for how he enslaved you. Is that racism? Is that racism? It's not racism, is it? It's hate that the white people brought on themselves, right? That's why I see here in America, it's like, and when you address issues like now in these days, it's almost like having cultural schizophrenia. because you have to address black people and you have to address white people. You got to go back and forth, back and forth, back and forth, because there's blames back and forth these days. You think it's racism with the hate that a lot of black people feel for white people, for what their ancestors did? You think that's racism or hate? And hate that they brought on themselves. So you think that, so back to the white woman that 77 years old, killed for a car right before the holidays, so someone coming to see her for Christmas. You don't think that white boy, that white young man could have some hate for black people? When they killed his mama, somebody black killed his mama. Now I know the perfect answers in the perfect world, in the cartoon world, is yes, he should have understanding. You lost your mom to a black person that y'all not connected with. Let's say he ain't even connected to black people. That make it worse. It's one thing to have black friends. It's one thing to have no black friends and have this happen. Where you can't call your home and be like, yeah, and it's like just a human situation. It's just a human situation, not a black and white situation, right? Because you got black friends. Let's say he don't got black friends though. Let's be 100. He ain't got none but white friends, white college friends that's already telling him he shouldn't be listening to black music. It's bad for him. It's violence in it. So now this happens, and now he's starting to think like they think. Oh, you don't think that can happen? You don't think that's happened before? Well, a white person got friends over here telling them, hey man, you need to stay away from that. And then guess what? Somebody black victimized him in some type of way, and he goes over there to where the people was telling them that leave that alone in the first place. Oh, you know the type. The white boys that hang out with the thugs. Then he get burnt, and his white friends was telling him the whole time not to deal with it. And now he went over there with them, and he a little racist a little bit. Or a little hateful. A little bit of both. In his case. Because his case was he got burnt, hey, brought hate on everybody. But he had little racist friends, so now he a little bit of both. He racist and a little hateful. This is the real wiring in your community in America that nobody's addressing. Because really we, at the end of the day, the whole summary is we have a human problem. We don't have a race problem, but it gets tricky because you have to address each ethnicity of the human race to stop the problems. You can't just be talking about, well, it's all like that. It's everybody's like everybody. No. You have to be specific in order to get to specific problems. If you got a problem that happened from black people, why are you going to a white leader? For him to do what? All he gonna do is go to a black leader. He's going to go to Farrakhan and have them bring in whoever. It doesn't make sense. So to solve problems in our community, you ultimately have to address each ethnicity. And this has been the biggest problem. Now you see where I'm going with this. And this has been the biggest problem in America. Because although, black people are killing each other more than anybody else, the white tribe is still the greatest problem. Okay? And we can sit here and say, you can say I'm pulling the race card, you can say whatever you want to say, but the writing is on the wall, man. Who you think is stupid? You got some white people that don't even work because they got so much money, but then but others go complain when they know the state of their race about black people not working when there was no retribution for slavery. So how I see it is EBT, food stamps, and cash. That's all. That's a form of that's free money. That's karma. That's a form of reaping what you sow because you made our ancestors work for free. Boom. Oh, so you don't think we deserve some free money? That's karma. We getting it anyway. Because that's karma, bro. How you gonna work a whole people? Everybody know a man deserve a wage for working. And you sophisticated enough as a country. I don't care slavery happened wherever else. I don't care where it happened. I'm talking about here, where people are sophisticated in thought process, and we have sophisticated and civilized ourselves. I'm talking about here, because you want to bring it up like it happened everywhere else. I ain't talking about that. I'm talking about here, where you got plenty of money. They ain't got plenty of money to give no retribution for slavery. In all these other places, you do have it. You see the difference? That's the foundational difference right there. Why you don't compare any other place when we talk about retribution. Because they're not able to do it. That's a 7 hour. How they able to do it? They can barely make retribution to their family. And that's what I'm saying. That money, food stamps and all that, we should be getting that for free. If a black man don't want to work, leave him alone. You know why? Because you worked his family for free. Leave him alone. He don't want to work, leave him alone. But yet you still own him like a taskmaster from back in the day. You still own him like a taskmaster from back in the day. Well, he should be working. You know who taught you that? White America. They got everybody cracking the whip on everybody. Well, and they influence you all to feel like everybody should be pacifically working in this rat race. They got you all feeling like you're not a man if you're not doing that. No, you're not a slave if you're not doing that. Because at the end of the day, like I teach, working is a part of sin. When God made us, he didn't make us to work. He made us to work hard at what we're talented to do. He gave you gifts. You should be doing that. You shouldn't be working at a golf course, picking up balls. That's what you was born to do? Think about it. Versus a great grand talent that you have. Seemed like you was more born to do that, right? Which will make sense that you shouldn't be working doing that. God did not make you to pick up golf balls. But some people act like you do. Yeah, you know, that's what you should supposed to be doing as a man. Your own family telling you that. Yeah, that's what you're supposed to be doing. Yeah. You're doing the right thing. Meanwhile, you feel like you shouldn't be, when you're being 100 with yourself, you don't even want to work. Oh, you got to say, oh, you don't want to be 100? And you're scared to say it because everybody will think you lazy. Be 100, you don't even want to work. Anybody out here love to work? Then you know what that means. You're probably a workaholic. You probably deal with your problems through working. Well, then that's you. Go out there and do that for you. But don't try to give us your philosophy, because your philosophy is dysfunctional. You working like a workaholic, not because you're a hard worker, but because you deal with your stress that way. Yeah, you deal with your stress going out working like a maniac. But you lying to everybody and receiving applause that you don't deserve, talking about you a hard worker. You ain't no hard worker. You a workaholic. You a person that uses work to hide from family, hide from your loved ones, because you don't have no communication skills. So you go to work. You'd rather go to work than communicate with the family. You'd rather go to work than to go sleep and talk all night with your woman. You'd rather go to work than to have to be at home with your mama, with your woman all day. Huh? Tell the truth. But they say you're a hard worker. Nah, you lying. You lying. You ain't no hard worker. You hiding from your family. And you dealing with your stress with working, overworking. Now you see how many people I got rid of that's been lying to you? At the beginning, God made man and he made Eve after that, and they had no work. Why would they be working? Where they gonna go work? Down at the 7-Eleven? So God makes them and they have to go down to a 7-Eleven and apply for a job. You see how silly that sounds? God made them and gave them everything they need. And I know it's hard for you to believe because of greed. There's so much greed in the world, you can't believe God just made us without working. Really? Wow. Where's the catch? Oh, I'm going to have to work later. That's what you would think as an American. Ain't no way I ain't got to work. God made me and I ain't got to work. There got to be some kind of catch. That's how good God is. He made you. He didn't make you to suffer and to go through toiling for money. He made you and gave you a paradise at your feet, and we messed it up as the human race. So see, it comes back full circle to what I'm talking about. It goes full circle about what I'm talking about. Is that in all actuality, the real problem is the human race. And we have to address the members of it in order to get to the solutions. It's the only way it's going to work. We can't keep acting like, oh, well, I don't think I should say this like that. I don't think I should do it like that. Well, how are you going to get to the end of the problem? How are you going to get to the end of the rainbow of this situation? Like I said, EBT, food stamps, white America, you need to realize that's a form of reaping what you sow. Please understand that. And stop acting like everybody lazy. Some people admit it. Some people realize themselves a little better. Or they lie to themselves. Sometimes you give in to the lie. Somebody say, oh, you're lazy. Maybe I am. Some people realize, hey, you know what? I'm actually not lazy. I just don't feel like I should be doing that. And you struggle with that all your life, running from it, running from the workforce, because you know in yourself you should have more than that, and it don't feel right. It don't feel like you should be there. See? Now, that's hard to explain to people that worked all their life. What you mean you shouldn't be there? How you gonna get money? Well, if we didn't have greed, if we didn't have all these other problems, it wouldn't be an issue. We would have everything distributed evenly. That's why I'm trying to show you with America, things are not distributed evenly because you have some white Americans that do not work. And guess what? Their children do not work. Some of the, you see some white Americans give their children a work ethic, but some do not. They ride around in Bentleys. You don't see them because they're rich. I have to tell you like that because rich people are not seen. You don't see rich people out here. You don't. Some kids, white entitled Americans, they don't work. They got Bentleys. They never worked. They go do art classes during the day. They do art during the day. They're done by 12. And their day is open after 12 o'clock. You don't know of no such lifestyle because you have been so busy. You would be disgusted, especially at their ages. You would be disgusted. And then they telling you lazy. But you have no idea of how many countless American young adults that have never worked. Their parents own portions of McDonald's and Kellogg's and Pizza Hut, things that you don't even think about. Her parent owned portions of Pizza Hut? Yeah. And they're getting millions of dollars from it while you're spending money on the pizza. And you didn't even know no such world exists. You know why? Because they kept you out of it. You don't even know that side where some people, you don't even know them, but their parents own portions of Pizza Hut, portions of Papa John's, portions of this company, portions of the NBA, portions of basketball teams, things you don't even think about. Because your family is not connected to that. Your family is not connected to the white American empire with all those organizations and businesses. Yeah, black people are starting to get connected to it, but white people done had it and turned it out and they done with it almost. Hey, it's their sloppy seconds about at this point. What you think they were doing the whole time? They had McDonald's, Burger King, all those companies all through the 80s while you was riding around on skateboards, going down to diners. Guess what? They were getting all that money. While you thought you was being cool, wearing leather jackets, they had the leather jacket company. They had the Burlington Coat Factory companies. They were making money and their children were living very great. They were connected to empires. The white Americans were connected to empires the whole time. The whole time. All these businesses, who you think, what families you think are connected to them? Black families? So black families connected to, and I'm not trying to be funny. Black families connected to all these empires and all this money you see around here. So who else? That's what I'm saying. Their families have been connected to all these empires all this time. And you know what? Half of their family, their children, spoiled, drugs, alcoholics, living life, going everywhere, all over the country and world. They are the ones that's buying all these things. It's the children of the empire. Ooh, boy, that's good. All this stuff going on in Las Vegas, all this stuff going on in all these resorts and all of that stuff. Who are these people, you wonder? Who seem like they have no work schedule. A good portion of them are white children of the white American empire. They don't have a schedule. Some parents feel like, hey, why should I send my children out to work and they don't have to? It's stupid. A work ethic, they won't need it. Why would they need it? That's some people's logic. It's foolishness. Why even do it? I give them a life that no one ever could dream of, where you don't have to work. When you do that with your children, I'm gonna be honest with you. I wouldn't send my child out to no 9 to 5. Nah, I think that's cruel. If I got a whole empire, you're basically royalty. That's like sending a prince out to work. You can do that, right? But at the end of the day, would you really do that, man? At the end of the day, you think that's gonna last? How long you think they're gonna do that until they talk you into letting them chill? Put it like that. Dad, you should let me chill. Come on now. I shouldn't even be out there among them common folk. What if something happened to me? He started thinking about it. Yeah, it is getting a little dangerous. I don't think I need to prove you got to work ethic that bad. They're pushing people on train tracks and yeah, you can be done with it. You're done with it. I'll get you that car you want. Just go enjoy your life and be careful. And honestly, I guarantee you, a lot of rich parents these days are doing exactly what I just said. They're withdrawing their children from the workforce. So now I'm more right than ever. If you had a whole empire, you have your children out here swarming around, out here in franchises? At some franchise? Swarming, going through subways with crazy people? You have your children doing that to prove they got a work ethic in 2022, and you got a whole life, you got buku money, and you're going to have them working out here like that? That's kind of cruel, don't you think? I mean, for real. I think that's kind of cruel, considering the circumstances. And so it's even more true. You know, some people don't even work, and some people, and they got the life, and other people are criticized in exile for not doing the same thing, I mean, They're doing the same thing. It's just a different ethnicity doing it in a different circumstance in the situation, you know. So, and for future reference, a lot of times I always do this in my videos because I do believe it's part of my prophetic gift. I have a teaching or a topic, but other things need to be said that's kind of a sub topic kind of situation. Okay, so don't think I'm ranting and I'm off subject. This is spiritual. So some things I don't even plan on saying, and it comes out. So that's for my audience, and that's for people that may not understand. I understand myself. I'm just trying to help you understand it. I'm trying to help you understand me. You know what I'm saying? But like I said, I think I said enough where people can understand as far as the organizations go. You got all these people hiding behind organizations and no one no longer cares. You know what I'm saying? I don't care if you're part of Freemasons. It's time to show yourself. I don't care if you're part of Illuminati. It's time to show yourself, because now you play with a prophetic person. Now you play with a prophet, and now you have to show yourself. You can't be cartoonish and be a child, when you've caused wars. You've caused wars to break out, and now it's serious. Now a bag has to be brought to the situation. You can't be like, oh, well, this is just, secrets, we're secret. Okay, we don't care. We're fully grown over here. And we feel like, you should be. Listen, children don't make it in the big bad world. I don't care if you're grown. I don't care if you literally are a child. You can't make it out here in this big bad world. If you are entitled people that played gang stalking games, it's time now for you to be chastised properly by the big bad world, bro. And look, I feel like America is already killing people. They're just not killing the right people. Unfortunately, killing is a part of, and this may turn some of my listeners off, but it's reality. Killing is a part of the human race, because even if you look in the Bible, I gave you an example. If it was wickedness in the tribe, those people had to be killed. For example, one of the commandments in the Bible was, and you may think, wow, this is pretty brutal, but it's just. If a child disrespected their parents, they were brought to the edge of the gates. They were brought to the edge of the city and killed and stoned. That's a perfect example. If they disrespected their parents, they were cut off from the tribe. There was no explanations or ifs, ands, or buts about it. Now look how people treat their parents these days. If that had been the old days, God gave commandments for them to be killed if they disrespected their parents and dishonored their parents. And now you got people pushing on their parents, putting hands on their parents, fighting their parents. If they were doing that in the biblical times, they would be brought to the edge of the city and stoned and killed. That's children now. And I'm pretty sure they weren't adults. Speed up to these days, kids beat you all in your face and you talking about what you want from Santa. You got a black eye talking about what you want from Santa. Hey, I bet you there is one parent with a swollen eye talking about that somewhere. Kid done hit you in the face and you talking about what you want from Santa. I'm still in the Christmas spirit. In the old times, that child would have been brought to the edge of the city and stoned. It ain't my opinion. That's why I believe in the Bible. Hey, some people say that's why. See, you know what some people say? Well, see, that's why I don't follow religion. But see, think about it though. Somebody gave you life and created you. That's the reason why you're here. You don't think you have a superior reverence for good parents? You only here because of them. Because they decided to lay down and make you. And with God, and God did the rest. right? His energy is everywhere. It did the rest. So you don't think you should be submitted to that in a rightful, in a reasonable manner? So see, that's what I'm saying. You know, think about it. A child can never be above, in most cases, and especially as far as the son or daughter position, they can never be above you as far as those positions, right? It just can't be. You know what I'm saying? Think about it. So if that position disrespects that position, the daughter position, the mother, the son position, disrespects that position, right? Right? You don't think that deserves to be subdued. You don't think that deserves to be subdued. Someone you brought in. That's why some parents understood it a long time ago. Old school. I brought you in. I'll take you out. It's just an example of how if you're not, if you have to be aware that wickedness, you think it can coexist. We can coexist with different things. We can coexist with different races. We can coexist in different styles of being, right? Even cultures. But we cannot coexist with evil. I've proven it. And it explains to me why people were burning witches. Now you say, well, that's a little extreme. America never do that. But look at all that's going on presently. Look how much these witches have done in your community. Now you see why people burn them? Think about it. Now you see. It took some time to see, but now you see, don't you? You see why they get burned. Because what I think is that back in the day when they was burning witches, that they were doing certain things like now, like the little satanics, like the messing with people and the mind stuff, the psychological stuff. They were bringing misfortune on people. How can that ever coexist with you? Oh, because sometimes they do good energy things. That can't be trusted, bro. You know what the Bible says? Suffer not a witch to live. That's what the Bible says. A lot of big part of your problem is witchcraft right now in America. Witchcraft is a big part of your problem. And how it was handled from God's commandments, as far as God commanding it, they died. Simple as that. Speed up to now, you now give rights to it and all kind of stuff. I found out the Church of Satan is now recognized as a religion. Yeah, which means they get tax write-offs and all kind of other stuff. Can you believe that? The American government has recognized them as a religion. That changes the whole definition of what a religion is. See, man, this is what happens when man gets out of control. That's part of what I'm talking about too, man out of control. The organization is an organization. It's the man that makes it out of control. It's the man that makes it go crazy. I'm not saying I would ever agree with obviously something like the Church of Satan or Satanists, but ultimately it's the human beings in it that's the problem. And me personally, if Satanists come around me and I'm a black man, I don't care. Listen, I'm not being racist, but I'm pretty sure it's going to be a lot of white people. And these days, okay, you got some black people in it. You got all different races in it. I understand that, right? Just like a lot of different races like rock and roll. I'm not being funny, but it's true, right? Okay. But culturally speaking, Africans don't really follow the Church of Satan per se. So more than anything, on the average, is going to be white people, right? So why would I feel if I see a whole bunch of white people? I'm not going to look at the fact that they are the Church of Satan. I'm going to look at it as it's white people playing around someone black. And they can say, well, it's because you're a Christian. I don't care what you say it's because of. I'm looking at race is more powerful than organization. You are oblivious to your surroundings. You're white, I'm black. It's not the race card, it's the history. It's the history of your country. And no one is going to allow, I would even say God would judge it in this context. He's based on the oppression of the African American community. God is not going to let any white tribe organization come and play games with the African tribe that's already been oppressed. God looks at that. These people already been oppressed. What they doing? What they talking about? No. And they talking about it's because he's with me. Oh, I'm definitely going to handle that. And that's what explains why you're hiding, while you're hiding behind labels and whatever you feel, even though you're already defeated. I'm trying to show you after your defeat. You see the difference between a Christian and other people? I'm showing you even after your defeat, real other reasons why you should retreat. Other people don't take the time to do that. You should retreat because in actuality, man, it's a black person that you're playing with and oppressing in America, which means to me, you're in danger of causing a race war. I know, you didn't think so. You didn't think that was coming, did you? Well, no one's looking at a little goofy group. Yeah, we live in the real world. People are starting to look at it like this is a race war. Because you see this person is doing nothing wrong. You see this person has defeated you. You see this person is greater than you, and now envy is setting in. But you think that you're culturally connected to this person because of what the culture of America projects to you, which is not really reality. And here you are, you're out here like a YouTube family. You're out here like a Facebook family. This ain't Facebook, bro. Yeah, you need to be awakened. You want a spiritual awakening? This isn't Facebook. This isn't YouTube. I may make videos on YouTube, but I'm not YouTube family, bro. You're YouTube family. You think we're all together, and you see these advertisements on YouTube, and you think we're all together, and we're not, bro. Yeah, this is the rude awakening. And people gonna start to look at it as a race war. What you looking at it as, well, we these are the Pacifics. No one cares about the Pacifics. We're looking at more of the Pacifics of black and white. It has been an ongoing problem in America from the very beginning. That's what we're looking at. And that holds more weight than whatever goofy stuff you talking about. After you've already been defeated. I'm trying to show you this ain't no sidestep from war, because I've already won. I won 3 years ago. For people that don't know, particularly in my Pacific situation, as far as my war, if you know anything about it, I won October 2019 in Sacramento in California. I was officially declared victor. The war was over, and I was winning, which means I'm victor. And that was declared October 2019 by ex-military in Sacramento, California. I'm just letting you know, for all you chapters of the secret society, I was already declared victor by ex-US military. Just in case you think a thug declared me a victor and say, yeah, you won. Nah, military declared it. So for people that's keeping it going and thinking it's going, nothing's going. You know, we already won. I'm trying to show you that. I'm trying to tell you it's already been declared. I already knew that. I knew when it happened. I could see when it happened. I could still see where I was at when it happened. It already happened. I already won. They're spinning their wheels, deceiving you. Wouldn't it be likely that they're deceiving you? They're deceiving you like as if something's still going on because they're sore losers. Don't it make sense? Okay, help me understand why they're so relentless for no apparent reason. Help me understand where all the momentum comes from. Think about it. They already lost. That's where it's coming from. You listen. I don't have to be the million chapters of your group to win. we not playing all around the world, buddy. This ain't basketball. This ain't basketball, bro. Y'all was already declared losers solid 3 years ago. And still here you are. And that's why COVID is here. Because COVID is a plague from God. I hate to tell y'all. This is a plague from God because these people were sore losers, in my opinion. And it may be to seal off the victory. Once they lost, now it's the end. This is what they have done has caused so much problems. It almost took out your whole community, man. And you still letting them live. You know what I'm saying? And see, my thing is this, man. Like, unfortunately, how I personally feel is this, man. This is how I personally feel. Besides, this is where you have to be a soldier and you have to suppress your human emotions and all of that, right? Soldiers have to do that. This is where I have to be a soldier. People who cause that much pain and problems deserve the death penalty. If I'm telling you that they are a great part of the reason why you have COVID-19, because God sent a plague to stop it. He sent a plague to stop the gang stalking. That's why it happened. That's why it happened. And most of them know that. But you, being non-spiritual and worldly, you're skeptical. But you're the same people that's skeptical of it being here anyway. You're the same people that's skeptical of how it got here. Or if the government did it and all this other stuff. So it's a hard job to show you what really happened. These gang stalkers gang stalked all around your country. And God sent a plague out of the love for his people. This is one of the reasons. I can't say it's all the whole reason, but it's definitely one of the reasons. And this is why he sent it out of love for his people to plague your country because of complete, foolish, relentless, excessive gang stalking that they think is funny and they think it makes them bad. They think it makes them cool. Like their brain doesn't grow up. Like they're 16 forever, right? Like, and if you don't understand this part, you're going to sit back just like you did with the KKK, just like you did with every other racist white entitlement organization. You're going to sit back and let them do what they do to your demise. This time it's to your demise because you've all sat back with your coat on, sitting back watching people do what they do. Yeah, we're just going to let them do what they do. We can't do nothing about it. But you can do something about black people doing what they do, can't you? Let a black person start an organization, you all over it. Now, when I tell you about them, because most of it is white, see, the Illuminati started by white people. Freemasons started by white people. The police are in the Freemasonry, the Freemason group. I'm not ignorant of that. That's what makes them in it. So it's Freemasons and Illuminati together. Right? I'm not stupid. And that explains why the police have their part in it. I'm not ignorant to that. Unfortunately, this is why you have COVID-19. God doesn't play any games, bro. You do, he doesn't. We don't, you do. And yeah, we not playing no games. And if listen, you're gonna turn and hit one more corner. And it's going to be no more America. And you're going to be saying, we should have did this, we should have did that. But at the end of the day, it's just another example of white government and white authority and even black, white community letting white people do whatever they want to do. Because you letting them do it too. Well, your silence gives consent. and I've proven to you who I am. The black community sold me out. If you want to be 100, from the time that they called my mom a nigga, that was it. That was it. That was it. Why you still picking your brain about it? Why you watching every little thing I do? Yeah. So what you have to realize, man, is that we're coming to a crossroads. We're coming to a crossroads, and you in your community is going to have to make a decision. It's going to have to make a decision. Not because my life is going to be protected regardless. Like I'm already connected to other forces and everything. So I'm going to be good regardless. You have to make a decision. If you're going to be passive about this and just act like you can't do nothing when we've seen you do stuff with black organizations, because at the end of the day, the Illuminati group is from Germany. That's not an African country. The same country where the Nazis from. See, I'm not ignorant. I know these things. Illuminati comes from Germany, from Adam Weishaupt. Adam Weishaupt was the starter of the Illuminati, and he had no plans of world domination and witchcraft and all of that, and all like how they're doing and all gang stalking and all of that. Definitely gang stalking, world domination, which they're trying, all the stuff they're thinking about and doing. That was not his plans. That was not his philosophies. I'm not gonna say he did it thoroughly like America, but his plans was to separate from the Catholics and from the government. That's what it was. He wanted freedom from the Catholics, not all religions, because it was the Catholics in his community, right? That's who it was. He wanted freedom from, specifically, you got to be Pacific. It wasn't Islam. He didn't want freedom from Islam, so you can't say it was Islam. He wanted freedom. You got to specifically say the religion that made him feel that way. It was the Catholics. He wanted freedom from Catholics, and he wanted freedom from the government. That's basically what the Americans wanted. They came from England. They wanted freedom from religion and freedom from government. That was his plan. That basically what he was about. So this over here, what you call the Illuminati, I'm not ignorant of that. They're ignorant. All they are Americanized Illuminati, right? Which is nothing but a witchcraft, a cesspool of witchcraft. That's all it is. Witchcraft and everything else, hyped up sexuality and everything else in between. Promises of success. How you gonna promise success in 2022 with the fluctuation of this community? You can't promise that. That destroys their whole house of cards. How you gonna promise anybody success in this fallible state that America's in right now? So see, all they did was the same thing that Americans did with Christianity. They Americanized it. That's why people can't stand American Christianity. There's nothing wrong with Christianity. Christianity here is Americanized. It's the same thing with the Illuminati. It's not per se the group. It's the Americanizing of it. That is the biggest problem, which means, all in all, the biggest problem, like I always say, is the Americans. Because the Americans are the one that caused this bad stigma to go about put upon this group called the Illuminati. It's the Americans that caused this. At the end of the day, they have security numbers. They have American security numbers. They're not aliens. They're not, although they may try to act like they are, although they may feel that they're superior to you and I, they have social security numbers. They have to mask up like we do. They have to take vaccinations like we do. Okay? They are the Americans at the end of the day is why you have the problem you have. It ain't got nothing to do. It's more that is the problem than the actual group. It is. It is. And that's why when I'm telling you, it's the ignorance. It's the ignorance. People feel that America would be a better world without America. And they prove it. They are the last part of proving this. It's not the Illuminati. It's the Americans. Let's get rid of the group and let's see it for what it is. It's the Americans. Right or wrong? Well, it ain't the Africans, is it? Over in Africa. It's not the French. Is it the French doing it? It's the Americans at the end of the day. That's what you see how I take your blinders off? You see how I unblind you? When you realize at the end of the day, this really isn't about a group, is it? It's about some crazy witchcraft Americans. Because that's all it was. That's all it is in the group. Now, like I said, with Adam Weishaupt, he had almost the same goals as like America, to separate from religion and government. That's the foundation. Basically. Now you can go into all the other little stuff he dabbled in and all of this and that and the third, but that wasn't his strong philosophy. His foundational strong philosophy was to separate from government and to separate from and all the woes and the evils of the government and to separate from the Catholic Church. Right? What they're not doing that. The American Illuminati is not doing that. They're not doing that. They're not about that. They're about a cesspool of foolishness, which proves to me it's not that group. It's more the fact in American life, it's all about these Americans, man. They're making bad decisions. It's them, but they hide behind groups and all of that. And that's why I'm trying to show you. They hide behind groups, and some people don't care about what group you belong to. They looking at what race you are, and also what country you come from too. It's Americans, and it's certain colors of Americans. That's the problem. Yeah.